Hey everyone, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Making Stuff with Sean. Just kidding. This is a video on the Crafted Elements line of router templates and molds for making bottle openers. So I want to go over the products first and then actually do a full demo to show you how to use them to see and to demonstrate how you can make some cool stuff with them. Now, bottle openers are great because they're cheap to make and they're relatively cheap to sell. So if you're going to a market or you're giving away gifts, you know, unique kind of whimsical bottle openers, whether they're made of wood or resin or wood and resin mixed, they make really good gifts and are an easy sell, 10, 20, 15 bucks, whatever it may be. And they obviously don't cost a lot to make. Parts are easy to find as far as the bottle opener inserts. You can get them on Amazon. And there's plenty of different styles that we offer in a template and mold format. So without further ado, I want to get into this. We do have currently, at the time of this video filming, two different bottle opener sets. We have bottle opener set 1, ooh, an original name, and bottle opener set 2. So bottle opener set 1 is obviously going to be hard to see here in the camera because these are the acrylic templates, but these are the pieces it makes. We've got a circle, got a stadium, got a star, got a heart, football, I guess, whatever. And then this funky thing, which kind of looks like a pinball flipper. Relatively simple designs. And we also have the matching mold, which I'll show you in a second. Bottle opener set 2 is the more unique kind of whimsical stuff. We got a surfboard, got a wrench, got a dog bone, or any bone really. I guess it doesn't have to be a dog bone. Texas, because, well, we have a lot of people in Texas, and we sell a lot of Texas stuff. Texas molds, Texas templates. We got Texas bottle opener. And sea turtle, which is very, very cool. So that template set will allow you to make and shape things, which again, if you're not following along, don't worry, I'm going to show you a demo. But what I want to talk about really quickly is the molds, because if you're a resin artist and you're not, you know, focused on making things with a router table and saws and all that stuff that's kind of beyond your scope, or you just don't want to do it, but you can make them in solid resin. I think it's 5/8 inches deep. And then we've got the bigger, heavier bottle opener 2 set, which is the same items here, which you can make, again, solid resin, and this is 3/4 inches deep. So they're making it a little bit thicker than these kind of common sizes. So we have to address this question a lot to people who aren't already our customers. If you're already our customer, you know the quality you're getting, you know the weight, you know, like when you have one of our products, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. I see why they cost what they do. But we get a lot of pushback on social media and even via email. Like people are like, you're insane. You know, why do you charge this much for your molds? Or why isn't this a $20 mold like they are on Amazon? So to further demonstrate that point, I'm going to show you a comparison between this thing and an Amazon bottle opener mold. Now, if you're just kind of starting out and you want to experiment with resin and you don't care about the thickness and you don't care about a mold that's going to last, then get an Amazon mold. But I want to show you what a $15 Amazon bottle opener mold looks like. Here we go. This is it. It basically weighs as much as a paper towel. And this is ours. Now, I know I'm going to be doing these real dramatic demonstrations, but I actually want to quantify this. We're going to take it over next door to our shipping scale. We're going to weigh this, and we're going to weigh this. We're going to see the difference. Okay, come with me. Got our massive, really well-built Amazon mold. It is a whopping 0.3 pounds. I'm going to grab our mold here. This is our bottle opener set 2. It is 3.0 pounds, literally 10 times the weight when you're comparing apples to oranges. I'm not strong, okay? So just bear with me. I'm a whole 165 pounds of fury, but let's just, I don't even know how people use these, to be honest with you. Okay, so we've established that it's a bigger mold. So let's get started with the actual making and actually using these templates. I've randomly picked a piece of scrap wood from our scrap wood pile. This is Manitoba maple. It's got a little bit of quilting in it, which is kind of cool. I'm going to make a solid wood bottle opener first with one of our templates, and then of course do a quick demo of one of our molds. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this surfboard template from bottle opener set 2 and peel the glue off of it because I was using these templates earlier. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to show you a trick, because what we're going to want to do first is, instead of shaping it like you normally would anything else, like you know, rough cutting it and shaping the perimeter, we're going to do the inside part first, because it is way easier to do the inside relief part, the part where the actual hardware is going, while this is kind of strapped to the table and you've got a lot of surface area to work with, then cutting this and having this little piece to work with, and then using the template to cut the inlays. So we're going to cut the inlays first and essentially kind of work backwards, so to speak. So we've got our piece of maple, and I've grabbed the surfboard router template from our bottle opener set 2. Now you'll notice the template just has your circle. This circle is to create the initial recess to accommodate your hardware. Now this hardware is standard 39 mil or 40 mil diameter hardware from Amazon. You literally get a bag of like, I don't know, 15 or 20 of them for like 10 or 15 bucks. So they're pretty cheap, and they come with screws as well. So that is the first set of routing you need to do. But then you actually need to do the middle section here. I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we can do that. But first I'm going to go ahead and glue down our template really quickly to the wood. Whoops, kind of went out of control there. All right. And I'm going to clamp down our piece of wood so it's easier to work with on our desk. So you've got our template glued down. We've got our router bit installed. Now we're going to want to have a short cutter blade router bit here because we do not want to make a recess very, very deep. We only really need to accommodate that thickness. However, you'll see that clearly that's not going to happen. We're going to end up quite a bit deeper because once you put the template on here, you still have at least 1/8 of an inch between the bottom of the template and the top of the cutter bit. And we definitely don't need 1/8 of an inch for this. We could probably do with like a 32nd, maybe even a 1/16 of an inch. So if you do want to get a little bit more accurate, you can take these templates and stack them. And essentially, you know, it doesn't really matter how you position this, as long as you position these circles the same way, glue them together, stack them together, and you'll have a thicker template. That thicker template is going to mean that your cutter bit is going to ride higher and not create as deep of a recess. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm okay with that deeper recess. It's not going to really make a difference. It's more just a visual thing. If you want something that's like really slick looking and like super flush with the wood, you're going to want to stack these templates to make the template thicker. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We've got our rubber bit glued down. We've got our bit all set up. We're going to start in the middle just because we don't want to injure the template. I'm going to turn this bad boy on. Pretty easy to remove these guys. And you'll see what I mean here now because we just used that single layer template and we've got that thickness. It sits pretty low. It's still gonna work, but it does sit pretty low. So again, to fix that, double up the template or get a shorter depth cutter bit with a flush trim bearing, obviously. So the next thing I'm gonna do is just scrape the rest of this glue off. But we're going to think about the inside of this now because, you know, that first recess pocket is only the initial pocket to accept the hardware. What about the actual recessed area here that actually opens up your bottle cap? There's 2 ways to do that. We provide the this master template essentially mostly for shipping to keep things efficient and all in the place. So when you order the bottle opener set, you get this with all the little templates in it and it's all taped together so it's all easy to ship. But because we were providing this sheet, we decided to actually make a little mini template that is specifically for routering out the interiors of this hardware. So I could easily take this, glue it down, and do the same thing. All right, so I can glue this down, take my router, go around, and create that deeper recess. The other option, like I'm going to demonstrate here, is to use 13/16 Forstner bit to create 2 holes. So what I'm going to do essentially is drill 2 holes on these centers to create an 8 or an infinity loop, and that, although it looks a little bit hacked there, once you cover it up, boom, covers it up perfectly. So it really depends. It's your personal preference. Use this template and your router bit, or just use the Forstner bit. Either way, you're going to have a similar result. So just in case you don't know what a Forstner bit is, this is what it looks like. It's basically a bit that gets you like a flat surface. So this is a 13/16 of an inch Forstner bit from Amanda Tool, and you'll see how easy it is to use in a second. I'm going to kind of estimate center here, grab your drill, trace out what this looks like here, and you're going to basically make that 8 shape to core out not the prettiest job, but it does the job, because again, once you put your hardware in there, you're not going to see that poor cutting job, right? That's sufficient. All right, so now we've got our recess done. And again, it is easiest to do the recess before the shaping, because otherwise you've got this tiny little piece you've got to hold down. So what I'm going to do now is trace out our exterior shape of this template. And I don't have to glue it yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and rough cut all this wood. So I'm going to go ahead and grab either a bandsaw, miter saw, scroll saw, whatever you have access to cut away from this template, rough, or this line, an eighth of an inch to a quarter inch. You do not want to cut right on this line. That's the point of the template and your router bit. So you want to cut away from this line just to get a rough shape, hence the name rough cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and detach this. I'm going to go over my bandsaw and cut this bad boy out. So I'm going to re-glue the template back to our piece, lining up those lines again as best as possible so we can actually finish shaping the outside of it. All right, we're going to take our router table. You could definitely use a handheld router for this as well, just especially with smaller pieces, it's much, much harder. We'll line up our router bit and our bearing so it's riding on the acrylic template. I'll lock it in place. Assuming the glue is dried here, we can turn this on and shape the rest of it. I had to switch my router bit out halfway because the router bit that was in there was actually really worn, so it kind of burnt this edge out, but that's fine. We'll get it out and we'll get it off in sanding. But that is literally how we shape that. So once we sand this up, we can finish it and screw in our hardware and we'll be done this little project. Looks pretty good. It's all sanded up. Finishing. If you're going to finish one of these, you could use a lot of different options. You could use polyurethane, you could spray it on, you could wipe it on, you could use like a wood honey or an oil or a board butter, but realistically, if you're using this as a bottle opener, which ideally is what your customers or yourself or your friends or whoever you're giving it to is going to be using it for, it's going to be touched a lot. So using like an oil-based finish that's like for cutting boards, probably not ideal because it'll wear over time. So I'm just going to do the cheap and easy method. I'm going to grab some satin clear spray paint and essentially just provide a coating on that. It'll bring out the wood, it'll make it pop, it dries quickly. It's obviously hard wearing, and then we can attach this guy and actually have a completed project. We can then move on to the mold demonstrations. You can see how to make one of these equivalent with resin. So, piece is sanded, finish is dry. I'm going to go ahead and grab our hardware, and then we're just going to pre-drill the mounting holes with a very, very small drill bit. Grab my drill because I don't have a screwdriver with a head small enough to fit these screws. Next up is using our silicone mold to make a solid resin bottle opener. So I'm going to go ahead and use my pinball flipper shaped mold section here. And I'm going to mix up some Total Boat epoxy. So what I'm actually going to use for this pour is Total Boat's cast and turn resin. It's a urethane based resin, not an epoxy resin. It sets up really, really quickly. It's really good for wood turners who are making pen blanks and bowls and things like that. The thing is with urethane resin is it sets up really quick. You do not have a long working time. It's like 10 minutes and it starts to gel up and it gets hard very, very quickly. The reason I'm using this today is because I'll be able to demold this in a couple of hours. I will literally be able to take this out of the mold, attach the hardware, be done, get home, edit the video, and post it to YouTube tonight. Whereas if I use any other epoxy resin like Total Boat Maker Epoxy or Total Boat Tabletop or whatever, other art resin, it would have to be sitting overnight, which would just take longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly mix in some Dragon's Breath pigment, since it's kind of a funky looking color. I'm gonna grab our Man Ease Release 200. You've probably heard me talk about this in the past, but anytime you're using your silicone mold, whether it's our mold or anyone else's, you need to use a non-silicone based mold release. It's gonna make your mold last longer, prevent tear out, so on and so forth. And you can just spray it liberally into that cavity, making sure you get all those sections. All right, resin's mixed up. The mold release is dry. I'm just gonna pour it all into here. So we're going to come back in a couple of hours and we'll demold this and attach the hardware just like we did here. So about 4 hours have gone by since I poured our urethane resin. It's not 100% set, but for the purposes of demolding, it's set enough. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this bad boy out of the mold. Wah. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is simply attach our guy here, just like we did the other one. We'll pre-drill some holes and we will put our screws in. I'll be done. So moral of the story here, guys, is if you want to make wood bottle openers or resin bottle openers or wood and resin bottle openers, we have templates and molds at craftedelements.com to help you do that. You could also, of course, go to Amazon, buy one of those $15 molds, use it once, throw it in the garbage, and then come back to craftedelements.com to buy one of our amazing molds. Okay, I don't want to keep picking on the Amazon molds. I think I've driven my point home. There's a significant difference, but again, you can work with what you can afford. And if you enjoyed this video or you have any questions or comments, definitely comment in the comment section below. And if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that now, because every time we have a new project or a new mold that we're demonstrating or new templates or whatever, it gets posted to YouTube basically first. So again, if you subscribe and hit the bell, you will be notified when we have new stuff. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Happy making.